Hey everyone, Jason here with the Gamer Side, and I'm going to do a review of a new game, newish game from Allplay called Alibis, designed by that person. I'm not going to attempt to butcher the name. It's on the bottom there. In any case, Alibis, a fun new co-op deduction game from Allplay. It's word association at the core. So even though it has this cool hero or villain, anti-villain, super villain kind of theme, and there's a lineup of suspects and all these different kind of super villains, and you're trying to find the actual perpetrator, and then other villains, of course, have an alibi. And so you're working as a team to try to suss out which of these in the lineup actually did the bad deed. They are the perpetrator. And you're going to do this 3 times, 3 rounds, and then the game ends. Now, the way you score this is there's a pile of heat tokens, and you want to remove the heat, essentially. So everyone has some alibi cards that are secret that only that player knows. So I know 2 of the suspects that have alibis, so they're not the perpetrator. But I want everyone else to guess what those are successfully, correctly. And the way I'm going to do that is by a simple word association, because each of the suspects in the center of the table has a word. This is very much like code names. So you have, each one has a word. It might be fork, it might be ball, it might be cathedral, whatever, just all different words, simple words. And I know which 2 suspects have alibis, and everyone else knows 2 suspects that have alibis, but one does not and is the perpetrator. And that card for the perpetrator is kind of hidden in the center of the table. It's there to reveal later on. So in order for me to have everyone else guess who the alibis are that I know, I have to look at the 2 suspects that I have in my hand, these 2 cards, and look at the words, and then write on a dry erase board what word am I going to write that's hopefully going to get everyone to guess the 2 words, the 2 suspects that have alibis in the center of the table. So for example, let's say I have these 2 suspects and the words are fork and spoon. That's pretty simple. I might write the word utensil. And then later on, once everyone has written their word, we're going to reveal our word. So we reveal that dry erase board, and I reveal the word is utensil. And then my neighbor reveals their word, which is whatever, and everyone reveals their word. And now everyone's looking at the board, all these suspects. Let's say there's 9 suspects out, and it's a 4-player game. And so everyone's trying to figure out, okay, which 2 of the words match Jason's clue, which is utensil. Well, fork and spoon might be a pretty surefire bet, right? But things aren't always that simple. I might have the words fork and farm, which I think happened in one game. It was either fork and farm or fork and country. It was one of those 2. And so my secret word was pitch. And so I revealed the secret word, pitch, and I think most of the players, but not all, figured out that it was fork and farm. My logic for pitch was a pitchfork. There's an association there that makes sense. Now, pitch wouldn't normally go with farm, but a pitchfork goes with farm. So a little bit of a chain of logic to connect those. And several of the players picked up on that. And that's what you have to do a lot of times, because very often you got 2 words that just, they don't relate. So then, okay, well, how can I relate to one? And then somehow does that segue into relating to the other. In any case, that is the point of the game, is that word association and the social group dynamic of deducing based on the words that have been put out. Now everyone has another dry erase board with the 9 suspects, and you're marking down, I think that one goes with that clue, I think that one goes with that clue, and you're essentially marking little symbols to associate each of those suspects with the right player, and that will leave one that doesn't have a symbol, and that you put a P for perpetrator. Okay, so now everyone has done that. Everyone's revealed their clues, figured out by looking at the board, written down what they think is the case, and now we go around 1 player at a time and reveal the 2 cards, which show the suspects that I have alibis for, and I go, yeah, it was fork and farm, or fork and spoon, whatever. And everyone goes around and be like, yeah, I got it. Oh, I missed that. I didn't realize that's what you meant, right? And everyone kind of explains what's happening there. Now, if at least one player matched my clue, we remove 1 heat token. Just 1. Doesn't matter how many players. If at least 1 player matched, we remove a heat token. Okay? Now we go around the table. Everyone reveals their alibis and remove, hopefully, as many of those heat tokens as possible. Then, who got the perpetrator right? For each player that got the perpetrator right, remove 3 heat. That is where you get the most benefit, is by guessing in the end whether or not you had all the other clues and alibis correct. You might have screwed up a couple and crossed signals, but if you still landed at the right perpetrator, either intentionally or accidentally, we remove 3 more heat from the pile for every player. So that's where you get the most benefit. And after 3 rounds, you want to have that pile of heat as reduced as possible, and then back of the book it gives you a score based on if you have 1 to 3 heat remaining, if you have 4 to 10 heat remaining, if you have over 25 heat remaining. Okay, so that's how you play Alibis. Now, so this game's gonna be compared to Codenames, absolutely, and some other ones like So Clover and some of those repost games that are word association. Will this outstay its welcome compared to some of those others? Will it outstay or outperform? Will it be one that we keep coming back to, where, compared to something like Codenames, which will never leave my collection, right? I just don't know. But what I do know is over the last several weeks, we've pulled this out a lot, and we're going to continue to. It's just a lot of fun. I like the co-op aspect of it. Codenames is not. I think Codenames, there's a version that's co-op. Maybe it works similar. But it is interesting. And the first game we played, we did awful. We got the lowest possible bracket of scoring, like the worst. Like essentially it said, nice try again. Then the second time or the third time we played, we got down to 3 or 4 heat remaining, which was really, really good. And then the last time that we played, which was just yesterday, we actually cleared all the heat, which is obviously the best you can do. So does that mean that I feel like we've solved it and we'll never play it again? No, this game has so much. I mean, there's so many words, so you're going to constantly have new combinations to play with and try out. I have not played this with larger than 4 players. And what does it go up to? 5 or 6? It goes up to 6. But what happens is you have more suspects out. And at some point, could it be too brain burny? There's so many suspects out, 15 suspects in the center of the table. And now there's so many players with their 2 clues, or 1 clue for the 2 suspects, 2 suspects, 2 suspects, 2 suspects. And I have to now grok all of that on my dry erase board and try to keep it all straight. I feel like it could get a little too brain burny and tedious. Like I feel like this maybe is better with like the 3 or 4 player. But I got to try it at some point and we'll see. In terms of fiddly-factor gameplay setup, a little fiddly. Like, you have to find the right suspects for the number of players in the game, get those cards, lay them out in the center of the table. You got to get the word cards and lay them out. That's easy. Then you have another deck of cards, which are the suspects that you're going to deal out to every player. And those suspects have to match exactly the bigger suspect cards that have been put in the center of the table. So different decks of cards, and you have to have them match, essentially. So you got to find the exact right cards. This is not a big deal. We've done this a bunch and we'll continue to. It's just a little bit of setup there. And then in terms of gameplay, again, low fiddly factor, not none, but you've got 3 dimensions of stuff that has to stay hidden in front of every player. So you're being dealt the 2 suspect cards. They stay hidden. Then you have a dry erase board that you're going to write your clue on, and before everyone's ready to reveal, you keep that hidden. And then you've got your other dry erase board, which is where you're going to track all what you think other people's clues are, and you keep that hidden. And then you have to reveal these things in the right order. First, you reveal the word clue, and we all do that. Then we're writing our things and keep that hidden until everyone's ready. Then we reveal the 2 suspects for me, and everyone goes around and tells who had it right or wrong. It's just, there's an order to it, and at the first play or 2, it might feel a little awkward, like, which thing am I revealing now? You just have to do it in the right order. And it's not like you're going to massively screw up the game if you mess up the order. So that's it. Aside from the low fiddly factor, pimp potential, there's nothing here to pimp out. There's simple cards, simple tokens, and dry erase boards, dry erase mark. You might get better markers than the cheap ones that come in there at some point. But that's about it. My score for Alibis is currently an 8. I think it is an excellent game. I do wonder how this will outstay or outperform Codenames and other games of that style over time. Will this at some point start to dwindle, whereas something as pure as Codenames is the one that would stand the longer test of time? Time will tell. I don't know, but for now, I'm very happy to have Alibis from Allplay in my collection. Thanks so much for watching. Till next time. See ya.